go. David Codrea, how are you?
James, how are you today?
Good. What's the weather like out there?
Well, we had a little warm spell. It got up to about 34, but it's starting to drop down again.
Okay. Now tell me about this individual who went to the airport. Now he declares the weapon. I'm a little thrown off here. If you declare the weapon, unless you have some kind of criminal charge and they're waiting to seize you, why else would they arrest this man?
Okay, this man by the name of Greg Revelle, he is a Utah gun owner, and he was flying to Allentown, Pennsylvania. Okay, well, there were two intermediary flights that he had to catch, one in Minneapolis, which was late, and so by the time it got him to his next connecting flight in Newark, New Jersey, it was late, and so he missed the flight to Allentown. Well, the airline was going to bus everybody, I guess, to a hotel until the next morning, but then he realized that his luggage, where he had a legally declared firearm that he'd registered with the airline, and it was in his luggage, it did not make it to the bus. Well, rather than take the bus and leave his luggage, he went and found where his luggage was. It had been mistakenly routed to Newark as the final destination. And so what he did was he retrieved his luggage and decided, it's so late now and my flight leaves the next morning, I'll just catch a hotel, and in the morning then I'll catch my flight back to Allentown. Well, when he goes in the morning to register for his flight there, again, he says, look, I've got this legally declared firearm in my luggage that's going to go on board, at which point they called TSA airport security, the police got involved, they arrested this man, they threw him in jail for 10 days, he had charges hanging over his head for months, and it took him over 3 years to get his gun back. Well, he decided that this wasn't very fair, and so he filed a lawsuit, and the courts kept throwing out his lawsuit, saying, you have no basis under the law to sue, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, which on the 18th decided, you know what, we're not going to hear this case. So what this means is that the prosecutors said, it doesn't matter whose fault this was or if it was nobody's fault. He had a gun in violation of New Jersey law, and the judges said, well, we sympathize, but there's nothing under the law in order for us to be able to rule in his favor. And the Supreme Court essentially said, we're going to wash our hands of it and not hear this case. So the bottom line is, anyone in a similar situation, if you happen to be in an area that prohibits guns like New York or New Jersey or Chicago or any of those places, and if you miss your flight, and I think this is important, particularly, James, for your viewers who may be more in tune with the sporting aspect, and you may be flying out and going on hunting trips or going on, shooting, competitions and things like that, and you may not actually be up on what the intricacies of the law are. And we're all under the assumption that if you're traveling from state to state in the interim, you're supposedly protected by federal law, but that is not clear. It has not been proven, and the Supreme Court has just let it stand. So this could literally happen to anyone. And so the thing to do if you're in this situation, leave your luggage. Don't even let them give it back to you. If they try to, warn them that, you know what, you're trying to illegally transfer a firearm. I'm not going to take the luggage. Put up with whatever the hassle is, because it's a lot easier than being thrown in the slammer for 10 days in various jails with some of the scariest elements of society. And there's no recourse under the law, James.
Yeah, this is what throws me off, because I know that if you're in transit with a gun, whether it's a rifle, a shotgun, I don't think it makes any difference whether it's a pistol or whatever. If you're in transit, it was my impression that if you're in transit, that you're not going to come into contact with that weapon anyway, that they are going to basically manage that weapon for you until you reach your destination. Now, I know that was true in Europe. I know that's very true in the UK and used to be. You never saw it after you checked it in until you arrived in whatever your final destination was, and then it was given to you. So I'm a little confused here. Is it because he was reintroduced to his gun somewhere along the line, and now
yes, what it was is they mistakenly routed his luggage to the wrong final destination, and he went to go retrieve it to make sure that he would have it. And at the moment that he reaccepted custody of the luggage with the firearm in it, he was now in violation of New Jersey law, even though there was certainly no intent on his part, even though prosecution in such cases is absolutely discretionary. And the prosecutor could have looked at this and said, this is ridiculous. Send the man on his way. Stop this nonsense right now. And, it kind of ironically, this happened at Liberty Airport in Newark. That's some liberty. Yeah, and, just to, even though James show you, say that your luggage stays in airport custody. I didn't write about this, but before the show, I just got a whim and I went and did a little checking. And I found a Wall Street Journal article and talked about how baggage thefts are on the rise. Started out with some Delta airline baggage handlers in Hartford, Connecticut were stealing. It talked about St. Louis Lambert Airport, where laptops and electronic game systems, cameras, and firearms were stolen by the baggage handlers. It talked about Phoenix, where one couple had stolen over 1,000 pieces of luggage. Their home was stacked from floor to ceiling with the stolen luggage that they got from the airlines. And it talked about Portland, Oregon, where again, the baggage handlers were not only stealing the merchandise, they were selling it on eBay. And they were not only selling it on eBay, they were using their supervisor's airline-owned computer to do the transactions from. So, James, it's ridiculous. And it's just one of these situations, no justice, like the clip you played with Ward Bird. Okay? This is supposed to be America. This is supposed to be the land of freedom. We are supposed to assume justice is our birthright. And when you see that the system is geared and set up to where justice is literally impossible under the law, you have to ask yourself, where's the disconnect? Why? And if the answer is, well, New Jersey has to change its law, I would submit to you that New Jersey is such an anti-gun state that there is no incentive there for them to do that. And so everyone is at risk traveling through there.
Yeah, but I have to say, a little bit in defense of New Jersey, that there's a lot of very open country in New Jersey. There is hunting that takes place there. I mean, one of the best sporting clays competitions you can go to is located there, M&M, and they'll do the U.S. Open this year. So there's going to be a lot of people going to New Jersey with shotguns that I know of anyway, and probably for some of the other sports as well. But so this is where it gets a little bit confusing to me. If this sort of thing happened, all right, you've lost somehow or another, your luggage has gotten lost, a reasonable individual would probably go to the security desk and say, listen, I've kind of lost touch with where my luggage is. And they go, oh yeah, here it is, it's back here. Okay, then you say to him, okay, this is my luggage. I happen to know that there's a firearm, or should be a firearm in that luggage. I'd like to look to verify that. A security officer should come over. You should go through the luggage together. He looks down, he says, okay, yep, the gun's there. I haven't touched it, I haven't taken it out. Okay, zip it up, and I'm on my way. Now, that to me sounds like the way that should have occurred. However, it doesn't appear as though, where did it go off the track there?
Well, he would not have been allowed to retrieve his luggage under New Jersey law. So, I mean, had he gone through this scenario you're describing and done this with a supervisor, I'm not sure what this would have accomplished, because the moment he would have taken his bag to resume his trip and to try to check it in. See, he never tried to take it into greater New Jersey or anything like that. He just went from, to his hotel right back to the airline. Okay? It's not like he then went and took it and was flaunting or flouting New Jersey law. Right. And in terms of, James, in terms of sports and things like that, I know that, this is Trigger Sports Network and all that, but ultimately it's not about sport. It's about freedom. It's about rights. That's what the Second Amendment is about. And while the sports are wonderful and they're necessary to perpetuate the culture and to bring in new interest, and they're invaluable for that, once we allow the rights to be infringed, privileges can be taken away at any time. And that's why we have to have the firm line in the sand and say, these are our rights. And we have the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That doesn't mean if they lose your luggage that they can throw you in the slammer with
Right.
the scariest dregs of society.
I think everybody will agree with you on that, David. I don't think there's any argument at that point. I think we all agree with you there. It appears to me, and I'm going to back up and use your own statement here, that some attorney somewhere along the line and some judge had to say, this is a nuisance case. This is a waste of time. It's obviously a waste of our time and expense. Why are we bothering with this? And the fact that someone didn't do that, that sort of concerns me as well. It kind of throws a red flag up over there, and I would probably say to anyone transit through New Jersey and you are armed, you know, you might want to bear this case in mind. And you know, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, David, and I agree with you that it's wrong, if it's going to be left to a judge and it's going to go to an attorney and blah, 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 then who wants to be involved in all that? So I mean, just be careful when going through New Jersey. I think that's probably the story here, is that obviously things can get very confusing.
One more thing I'd like to leave the viewers with is, and that is, there are resources to check laws. First of all, know them in your own state. But second of all, when you're traveling out of state, know the laws of the places you're traveling to and through. And there are a couple of resources you can do this. One on the internet, nraila.org, and they have state gun laws and federal gun laws that you can look at and read. And also an author by the name of Alan Corwin has gunlaws.com. And he has books that are available for various gun laws in various states and things like that. So It's incumbent on us to protect ourselves and realize that, you know what, any of us could, through the most innocuous of mistakes, find ourselves behind bars and facing tens of thousands of dollars worth of legal fees. So let's just find out what the law is and be careful.
Yeah, everybody agree, and thank you for the resources there. I'm sure that, you know, it's unfortunate, David, I'm going to tell you right from the heart here, it's unfortunate because, you used to be able to just go hunting, go shooting, and now we have to be aware. I mean, now I've got to study about local laws because I'm taking a gun through there, and I'm going, it's unfortunate that it is the state of the world that we're living in, so we're all going to have to make changes in the way we do things, especially if we're going to involve a firearm of some type. It's sad to me, but that's the way it goes. Thank you, David. Appreciate you coming on with that report. I know you're working on some big stories out there, and I hope we get to talk about one next week.
I hope so too, James. Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye-bye.